Hey Latchkey kids and dropping mutants, I'm Lady Shasha, Mistress of the Snark. And let's get into A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child. In the tradition of the Nightmare on Elm Street parents being trash, they still are in this. Except for Alice's dad, who's still trying to maintain his sobriety after the events of the previous film. Dan's parents only care about him being an athlete. Greta's mother is a stage mom who's always pressuring her about her appearance. Mark's father doesn't respect him as an artist and wants him to work in a factory. We don't see Yvonne's parents after the graduation picture, so we don't know if there are any issues there. Just like Sheila in Part 4, and Rochelle in The Craft, Hollywood still thinks that black girls don't have parents or parental issues. Someone please tell Hollywood that black teenage girls also have parents, and sometimes they have regular problems with their parents. Anyways, I like Yvonne, can you tell? And Kelly Jo Minter is my favorite horror actress. She is a certified scream queen. I loved her in this, in People Under the Stairs, and in Popcorn. She was also in Mask, which isn't really a horror movie. Well, it's not a horror movie at all. And she did a really great job with that. And also, there's a blink and you miss her moment in The Lost Boys, because she was in that as well, but a lot of her parts were left on the cutting room floor. Like, they cut a lot of her scenes. But she's a great actress and she deserved better. I love her, and what I like most about her in this is that she survives. I almost forgot she was in Summer School too. I liked her in that. You know who doesn't survive? Now, we've established the Elm Street tradition. If you make it to the end of a movie, then the beginning of the next movie, you're gonna get taken out. And that's exactly what happens to Dan. The returning main character is Alice. And is it me, or did she have red hair in Part 4 and now she has blonde? Out of the Elm Street series, this is my least favorite. I take that back. This is my second least favorite. My least favorite is that trash garbage remake. This does have some cool effects and introduced us to Baby Freddy. It's silly as but it has some nice animatronic work. Let's talk about the kills. They're creative in concept, but they misfire sometimes. Dan gets turned into Tetsuo the Iron Man, but in motorcycle form. Greta is force-fed to death and becomes a garbage pail kid. Mark's death is almost as dumb. You write comics and that's the best you can come up with? It's only slightly less dumb than Will's weak sauce wizard from Part 3. Speaking of Part 3, this revisits the Amanda Kruger story that was introduced in Part 3. In case you need a reminder, Part 3 told us about a nun named Amanda Kruger who was accidentally locked in a sanatorium for the criminally insane, and she was SA'd by 100 maniacs. To defeat Freddy this time, they have to release Amanda's tortured soul so that she can battle Freddy, who has been using Alice's baby's dreams in order to continue his reign of terror. Yvonne goes to find Amanda's remains, and Alice ends up in the Goblin King's labyrinth with her unborn son and Freddy. Then Yvonne finds Amanda's remains and releases her spirit so that she can team up with Alice and her unborn son to fight Freddy. Freddy is reduced to an infant again and gets absorbed into his ghost mama's body. Yvonne, Alice, and baby Jacob survive. People crap all over this one because it's not nearly as good as the others in the series, but compared to Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween Resurrection, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason Takes Manhattan, or any Hellraiser after the fourth one, this isn't that bad. It's just bad when you compare it to the first 4 Elm Streets. It also bears repeating that the effects for this were really good, especially when it comes to that little animatronic baby Freddy creature. I can't say that I remember the score in this at all, even though I just watched it to tell you whether it was good or bad. But the end credits do have another rap song just like Part 4 had. The song is called Anyway I Gotta Swing It by Houdini, and the music video is on YouTube. So the takeaway is Nightmare on Elm Street 5, not as bad as you remember it, but still not quite all that good. And with that, I'll be back in a moment to talk about Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Welcome back. Let's get into Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. This takes place partially at a youth shelter. Maybe they were trying to recapture some of the spirit of A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. While this still includes trashy ass parents, they do introduce some other characters, like Maggie, who works as a counselor at the shelter, and Doc, played by Yaphet Kotto, is the psychiatrist at the shelter. His wig though? Oh hell no! The first 27-year-old teenager that we are introduced to pops up in Springwood with amnesia. He is brought to the youth shelter. The other almost 30-year-old teenagers are Tracy, a tough girl with a sexually abusive father, Carlos, a smiley kid with a physically abusive mother, and Spencer, a rich kid with an emotionally abusive father. He's the only one who could actually pass for an actual teenager. He's played by Breckin Meyer, who we also saw in The Craft. Roseanne and Tom Arnold make an appearance at a weird town fair where the teens notice there are no children. Freddy tortures each one of them by taunting them with their previous traumas. With Carlos, it's his abusive mother and using his hearing impairment against him. With Spencer, it's his abusive father, his love of video games, and his weed usage, which they totally overplay and make it seem like weed is just like taking LSD. It is not. With Tracy, it's her traumatic abuse at the hands of her father. The kills are done in such a cartoonish way. Even the score is very cartoonish. And if I was 5 years old when this movie came out, this would be my favorite horror movie. I should ask those of you watching this, were any of you little children when you first saw Freddy's Dead, and what did you think of it? Did you like it? Because it was very childish to me. There's a Johnny Depp cameo in this, which was kind of fun. And I heard that he was a little bit disappointed that he was not asked to do a cameo in Freddy vs. Jason. This is the movie that really confirms that Freddy is a dream demon, as he is possessed by 3 small dream demons. So I guess he's a person who's possessed by a dream demon. But either way, he is a supernatural entity. I find that bit of lore interesting, as well as some of the backstory about his childhood and the fact that they gave him a child. Freddy's makeup doesn't look horrible in this, but it does look too dry. Smack some KY jelly on that mug and it would have worked. Except for those ears. What's up with that? This features another rap song during a scene where Tracy is hitting a heavy bag, and it's Chubb Rock's Treat Me Right, which I found kind of funny. That particular song was not made specifically for this movie. It was just a rap song that came out either in 89 or 90. And I used to always hear it at the Round and Roll skating rink. The last 10 minutes or so are in 3D. For this review, I watched the 2D version that's available on HBO Max. But I did get to see this in the movie theater when it first came out in 3D. This one I saw with my friend from school, my middle sister, and my dad. He tried to buy the tickets and dip, but then the box office attendant said they can't go into an R-rated movie by themselves because none of them are 17 years old. So my poor dad had to sit through Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, even though he doesn't like any of these movies. He doesn't like slasher movies at all. Thanks, Dad, for taking one for the team. For that reason alone, I have nostalgia for this movie, despite how not so great it is. It's still better than Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. I told a story about getting to see Jason Goes to Hell in the movie theater in one of my tag videos. I'll put it at the end of this video. But that was the second slasher movie that I got to see in a movie theater. Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare was the first slasher movie I got to see in a movie theater, and then Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday was the second one I got to see in a movie theater. All of the other 80s slasher movies that I've seen, I always saw them on video or on HBO or something. At the time of this recording, I was able to watch these on HBO Max, but I think they might also be available on Peacock TV. But like I always say, don't take my word for it, watch it for yourself. Just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it, and just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. What did you think of Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, or Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare? Let me know in the comments. Stay tuned for my review of Wes Craven's New Nightmare and Freddy vs. Jason. Until next time.